You're scrolling through your feed and you see it again. Another headline screaming about America's unparalleled wealth. The stock market is hitting record highs, tech billionaires are launching rockets into space for fun, and the GDP is the envy of the world. The United States isn't just rich, it's the richest. With an economy larger than the next several countries combined, more billionaires than anywhere else on the planet, and opportunities that seem to stretch from sea to shining sea, it's the land where dreams are supposed to come true. But then you pause, you think about your own life, or maybe a friend's or that neighbor down the street, and a nagging question creeps in. If America is so damn prosperous, why are millions of its citizens still scraping by, one missed paycheck away from disaster? That's the puzzle we're unpacking today. Not with finger wagging or blame games. No, this isn't about calling anyone lazy. Far from it. This is about peeling back the layers of a system that's evolved in ways most people haven't noticed, leaving hardworking folks in the dust. We'll dive into why the old promise of work hard and succeed feels like a bait and switch for so many. We'll explore the hidden forces jacking up costs while wages flatline, the shift toward an economy that rewards owners over laborers, and most importantly, what you, yes, you watching this right now, can do to flip the script. By the end, you'll have a roadmap that's practical, actionable, and grounded in reality. So buckle up. This isn't just a rant, it's a wake-up call with solutions. Let's start at the beginning. The American dream has always been sold as a meritocracy on steroids. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put in the hours, and the rewards will follow. It's woven into our cultural fabric. From Horatio Alger stories to modern hustle culture memes, presidents preach it, movies glorify it, and schools drill it into kids' heads. If you work hard, you'll make it. Simple, right? But let's look at the numbers. According to recent data from the Federal Reserve, about 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. That's not a fringe statistic, that's mainstream America. Millions are employed full-time, often in multiple jobs, yet they're living paycheck to paycheck with zero financial buffer. One illness, one car breakdown, one unexpected bill, and it's game over. Take Sarah, for example. She's a composite of real stories I've heard, but she could be anyone. Sarah graduated high school, went to community college, landed a steady job as a retail manager. She clocks in 40 hours a week, sometimes more with overtime. She's responsible, pays her bills on time, doesn't splurge on luxuries. Yet at the end of the month, after rent, groceries, utilities, and that nagging student loan payment, there's nothing left. Savings, a pipe dream, retirement, something for someday. Sarah isn't lazy, she's exhausted, and she's not alone. The Census Bureau reports that over 37 million Americans live below the poverty line, and that's using a metric many experts say is outdated and too low. Factor in the near poor, those hovering just above it, and you're talking about 100 million people treading water in the world's wealthiest nation. So why? The knee-jerk response might be to blame individuals. They should work harder, get better skills, move to a cheaper area, but that misses the forest for the trees. The real question isn't why people aren't grinding more, it's why the grind no longer pays off like it used to. Back in the post-World War II era, a single blue-collar job could support a family, buy a house, and fund vacations. Today, not so much. The game has changed, and most players haven't gotten the memo. One massive culprit, skyrocketing costs. Let's break it down. Rent, for starters. And in major cities like New York or San Francisco, the average one-bedroom apartment can eat up 50% or more of a median income. But it's not just coastal elites. Even in heartland states, rents have surged 30 to 50% in the last decade per Zillow data. Why? Supply shortages, investor-driven markets turning housing into commodities, and zoning laws that stifle new builds. Meanwhile, healthcare, oh boy. The US spends more per capita on healthcare than any other country, yet outcomes are middling. A single hospital visit can bankrupt a family without insurance, and even with it, deductibles and co-pays pile up. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, Average family premiums have tripled since 2000, while wages have only inched up about 70%. Education, once the great equalizer, now a debt trap. College tuition has ballooned over 200% in the past 30 years, adjusted for inflation, per the College Board. Graduates enter the workforce saddled with 5 or 6-figure loans, paying them off for decades. Insurance, car, home, life, all up, driven by everything from climate disasters to corporate profiteering. Groceries, inflation hit food prices hard recently, with basics like eggs and milk jumping 20 to 30%. And don't get me started on childcare. For many families, it's more expensive than rent. Now contrast that with wages. The federal minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour, unchanged since 2009. Even for those earning more, real wages, adjusted for inflation, have been stagnant for the bottom 50% of earners since the 1980s, according to the Economic Policy Institute. Sure, the top 1% has seen explosive growth, but for the average Joe or Jane, paychecks buy less each year. It's like running on a treadmill that's speeding up while your legs stay the same length. But here's where it gets insidious. This isn't just bad luck or market forces at play. The system is designed, intentionally or not, to punish those who rely solely on earned income. Taxes, for one, hit wages harder than investment gains. Capital gains taxes are lower than income taxes for a reason. It incentivizes ownership. And inflation? It's not some random villain. Central banks like the Fed print money to stimulate the economy, which devalues the dollar over time. For wage earners, that means your paycheck buys less tomorrow than today. But for asset owners, inflation often boosts the value of stocks, real estate, and businesses, making them wealthier without lifting a finger. This leads us to the core shift. America's economy has morphed from one rewarding effort to one prizing ownership. Imagine two parallel universes. In one, you're employee A. You trade time for money, get a salary, pay taxes on it immediately, and spend what's left on rising bills. In the other, you're owner B. You own assets that generate passive income, dividends from stocks, rent from properties, royalties from IP. When the economy booms, your assets appreciate. When it dips, you might weather it better because you're diversified. The data bears this out. The top 10% of Americans own about 90% of the stock market per Fed surveys. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk didn't get there just by working hard, though they did. They own massive stakes in companies that compound wealth exponentially. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% own virtually no stocks, less than 1%. It's a tale of two Americas, the wage slaves and the asset kings. Let's humanize this with another story. Meet Tom, a factory worker in the Midwest. Tom's dad worked the same line for 40 years, retired with a pension, owned a home outright. Tom, the factory outsourced jobs, pensions vanished, replaced by 401s, Ks he barely understands. He works harder than his dad ever did, longer hours, more productivity, but his real income is lower. Why? Because the value he creates flows to shareholders, not workers. Productivity has soared 60% since 1979, but wages only 15% per EPI. The gap, it goes to owners. Inflation exacerbates this divide. Think of it as a stealth tax. When prices rise 3 to 5% a year, your savings in a bank account earning paltry interest erode. But if you own real estate, rents go up with inflation and property values climb. Stocks, companies pass on costs to consumers, protecting profits. It's why during the 2020s inflation spike, the wealthy got richer while the poor got hammered. The Fed's response, raise rates, which cools inflation but also slows job growth and wage gains. Another hit to workers. So why don't more people jump on the investing bandwagon? Barrier 1, zero financial education. Schools teach algebra and history, but not compound interest or diversification. The average American learns money management from parents who often don't know themselves, or trial and error, which is costly. Fear of risk is huge too. The 2008 crash scarred a generation. People see stocks as gambling, not building. Then there's debt, credit cards at 20% plus interest, student loans averaging $30,000 per borrower per Education Data Initiative. These traps suck up any spare cash, leaving nothing for investing. And the mindset? I'll start later. Procrastination is a killer. People think they need a windfall to invest, or that it's for the rich, but the system reinforces this. Ads push consumerism, easy credit encourages spending, and social media flaunts lifestyles that scream, spend now, worry later. It's no accident. An economy built on consumption needs spenders, not savers. But enough doom and gloom. Here's the meat. What can the average person do? This is where we turn the tide. First, shift your mindset from pure employee to owner-employee. Don't quit your job unless you're ready. Instead, build ownership alongside it. Start a side hustle that could become a business or invest in assets that grow. Second, start small. You don't need thousands. Index funds are your friend. Think S&P 500 ETFs like VOO or SPY. They track the market, low fees, historically return 7 to 10% annually after inflation. Apps like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Robinhood make it easy. Aim for consistency. $100 a month via dollar cost averaging beats trying to time the market. Over 30 years, that could compound to hundreds of thousands thanks to Einstein's eighth wonder, compound interest. Third, guard against lifestyle inflation. Get a raise, don't upgrade your car or house immediately. Bank it, invest it, live below your means. It's the secret sauce of millionaires per The Millionaire Next Door. Fourth, think long-term, decades, not months. Markets fluctuate, but history shows they trend up. Patience is power. Key takeaway, you don't need riches to invest. Investing stops poverty's cycle. The American dream evolves. It's about owning assets that work for you, not just you working. The biggest risk, inaction. Hoping wages catch up or the government saves you is a loser's bet. Start today. Your future self will thank you. To really drive this home, let's rewind to the post-war boom. In the 1950s and 60s, America was a manufacturing powerhouse. Unions were strong, ensuring wages kept pace with productivity. A high school diploma could land a job at Ford or GM with benefits, pensions, and annual raises. Home ownership rates soared to 60%, and the middle class expanded like never before. The GI Bill educated veterans, and infrastructure projects created jobs galore. It was the era when hard work truly paid off. Not because people were inherently better, but because the system was structured that way. Corporate taxes were higher, executive pay was reasonable, CEOs earned 20 to 30 times the average worker, not 300 plus like today, and wealth was more evenly distributed. Fast forward to the 1980s. Reaganomics, deregulation, globalization. Unions weakened, jobs offshored, and financialization took hold. Wall Street became the star, with mergers, leveraged buyouts, and stock buybacks prioritizing shareholders over employees. The result? Wealth concentrated at the top. The Pew Research Center notes that from 1983 to 2016, the top 5% captured 75% of all wealth gains. The bottom 90%, their share shrank. This financialization means companies focus on short-term profits, cutting costs, read wages and jobs to boost stock prices. Amazon, for instance, is valued at trillions, but warehouse workers earn median $35,000, often in grueling conditions. The value flows to Bezos and investors. Now let's dissect those rising costs more. Rent. The U.S. has a housing shortage of 3 to 5 million units per experts like the National Low-Income Housing Coalition. Investors, including hedge funds, buy up properties, driving prices. In Atlanta, rents rose 15% in 2022 alone. Healthcare. We're the only major nation without universal coverage. Pharma companies charge exorbitant prices. Insulin that costs $10 to make sells for $300. The Affordable Care Act helped, but premiums still average $500 per month for individuals. Education, state funding cuts shifted costs to students. In 1980, public college was affordable. Now it's a luxury. Graduates with debt delay home buying, marriage, kids, the wealth building milestones. Wages adjusted for inflation. The median hourly wage is about $25 today, similar to 1979's $23 in today's dollars, but costs doubled or tripled. It's math that doesn't add up. On ownership, assets aren't just for the elite. Stocks. The market's democratized via apps. Businesses start online with low capital. Think Etsy shops or drop shipping. Real estate. REITs let you invest without buying property. IP, create content, patents, or books that generate royalties. Inflation's role. Since 1913, the dollar has lost 96% of its purchasing power. Holding cash is losing. Investing hedges that. Why no investing? Education gap. Only 17 states require personal finance in high school per the Council for Economic Education. Fear, volatility scares, but over 10 plus years, stocks outperform. Debt. 80% of Americans have debt, averaging $90,000 per household. Mindset. Present bias, we discount future rewards. Advice in detail, mindset shift. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Kiyosaki. Start small, open a Roth IRA, contribute max $7,000 per year if under 50. Index funds, low risk, diversified, lifestyle inflation, track expenses with apps like Mint. Long term, use calculators to see $200 per month at 8% return becomes $500,000 in 30 years. The dream's alive but remixed. Own your future.